plenitude. In our case, we seeded an idea. There's something unique, so simple, it can be sketched on a sheet of paper. It was a new kind of vehicle, capable of both off-road adventure and family duty. The first SUV, we called it the Scout. That was back in '61, before Bronco, before Blazer, before anybody. The new decade ushered in a new generation of Americans. Adventurous, hardworking, optimistic. It was a time of cultural shift, and the Scout was a machine for the moonlights. Those who were drawn to it formed a tribe of kindred spirits. People who recognized how big, how beautiful, how vast America was, and wanted to get out and experience it. The next decades, the Scout led us on a joyous adventure. Then something happened. As the '70s met the 1980s, there were tough times. Turns out letting others do our work for us doesn't work for us. But they say that storms make the roots grow deeper. In the decades that followed, the Scout community palletized through the mud, the sand, the snow, through it all. They kept our legacy looking polished and shining. And the soul of Scout put it on. We knew if we ever got the chance, we'd go back to work here in America and make the Scout once again. We reboot and re-energize the Scout for our time. So we're going back to work. It starts here in Blackwood, South Carolina, where the soil is literally made of iron. The people possess an iron will to work hard. The side of the new Scout Motors Production Center, we're putting down our roots and restoring an American manufacturing brick by brick. Scout has a new home and a new beginning. We know our future, will honor our past.
When it comes to leather wallets, what matters to the folks is how it ages over time. This wallet gets better than
I got it. Thank you. Okay, let me pull up his. I was sent the PDF, so I'll let I can scroll through.
Okay, go ahead.
So, yeah, so that's a little bit about Scout. So I didn't want to just come in and speak to you the whole time. I thought our marketing team does a really good job with bringing kind of the brand to life. So I hope the video was a little bit entertaining. So if you don't know anything about Scout, you at least have an idea of our heritage, where we've come from. If you've driven to Charlotte recently, once you hit Killian Road between Blythewood Road and look to your left, you'll see our factory going up over there. So just to kind of put that in perspective, we have good.
I was going to that huge like area of trees that's just gone. Like
Yes.
3 miles.
Yes.
3 miles, okay.
Yes.
I was always like, what is that? There's no way that they just clear that for like no reason.
Yes, so that's the future side of Scout Motors. It looks like a desert, but over the hill, there really is like a hill. There is a factory complex. We'll show you pictures here in a second. That's where the factory will be. It's over, I think, 1,100 square acres of cleared land. And we actually have an office here in Columbia at Separate Park, so the Firefly Stadium. That's where we sit now and work out of every day. So until the factory is built, we're located actually here right down the street from everyone. So to give you a little more perspective, purpose of today, we want to just introduce who Scout Motors is, give you an understanding of who we are, and also explain to you or share with you what opportunities we have at Scout here in the near future and down the road as well, whether you're looking for an internship or a full-time position, to give you an idea of who we are and what we can offer. So as you saw, Scout was an American brand. It was owned by International Harvester. Many of you probably have heard this brand for the big combines, agricultural combines you see in the Midwest. International started the brand. They've had a lot of experience in the past years with different types of machinery. Scout was around in the 70s and 80s, and early, I think in 1980, 81, the brand stopped. So ran out of money. They decided we don't need to focus on cars anymore, completely shifted their focus onto the agricultural side, and the Scout brand as itself just went away. And it sat dormant up until a couple years ago when Navistar was bought. So Navistar bought International Harvester or Scout, and then Volkswagen Group bought Navistar. And through this acquisition, Volkswagen realized that they have a brand that's been dormant, that they can revitalize an American icon and bring it back to the US. What I think is really cool about Scout, and I'm not sure if y'all agree, is like before the Bronco, I don't know if you heard in the video, everyone you see now drives a Bronco. That's like the cool SUV to drive, but the Bronco really got its roots, I think, from the Scout, which came almost a decade earlier. So this was really the first car, first SUV, and it really was created to kind of compete with the Jeeps of the time that you saw in the late 60s and 50s. So, and maybe just to hit on Scout in itself. So Volkswagen owned, but we are our own company under VW, like any other subsidiary. So you have, Audi, Porsche, Lamborghini, these are all entities under Volkswagen. Scout is now its own entity, own board of directors. So we are our own standalone company, which is pretty cool. So what is, the original spirit of a Scout? So the biggest thing, being American made vehicle, is having that American spirit. So really what we're trying to revitalize is a brand here in the US that really hits home as this homegrown brand, go out, do anything, get dirty, really be able to go anywhere type vehicle. It's created for the road, but the second you want to turn off and go down, a path that you've never explored, the Scout should be able to do it. That is our mentality. And we're trying to capture that spirit again. So with the future vehicles, you probably have seen pictures already in the news. It's kind of a combination. We're trying to take a vehicle, take the heritage that we had from the 60s and 70s, so kind of this nostalgic effect. There wasn't anything real flashy, but it was a classy look, a classic design, and then bring it to, 2025 and beyond. Bring in all the new technology, bring in, the nice screens, bring in the sustainability with being EV, and trying to merge these two so that we have a vehicle that not only is practical, but also competes well in the market with the other key players, but also is rooted in its heritage from the 60s and 70s. So I think if you see the vehicles, I think you would agree that we at least are capturing this on one front. From a company perspective, so like I said, Scout is an established independent American company. At the moment, we're ramping up hiring. So we have locations here in Columbia, which is mainly production focused, and we have a location in Novi, Michigan, which is a suburb of Detroit. This is our R&D engineering facility primarily. Right now, the company is growing exponentially. When we started April of last year, I think the Columbia office had maybe 30 people, and we're well over 200 at the moment. So a lot of new opportunities are coming on the scene from where they were just a year ago. And we have departments in everything here locally. So like I said, I come from launch management. We have HR, recruiting, we have IT, we have paint shop, body shop, and assembly shop, security departments, logistics, all of which require IT expertise. Whether you believe it or not, all of this at some point is connected to a system, a database. All of this has to be integrated. And then we also have the car side. So we also have the team in Detroit and Michigan that are focused on the vehicle IT, E/E perspective, those looking at the vehicle security standpoint, those looking at the app building, connected apps for the vehicles. So really we're starting from the ground up, but we have opportunities in everything. So, and regarding the products we have, so I'll show you a picture here in a minute, but we have a fully 100% electric SUV pickup option. And then we have something coming as well, which is a range extender. Basically, it's a battery with a engine as well that will power the battery as a option as well. And with that, we have a lot of cool offerings. So I think you've seen probably the off-road package. I think this is what I'm most excited about. Typically, you don't get this from a factory. You have to do this yourself, but it's really cool that we have the opportunity to bring this to customers. And from the production side, we're a new greenfield production. So complete startup, as you've seen, doing all the phases within the construction development, which you typically don't get. And here we are today trying to partner and connect and bring you Scout Motors from the university side, connecting with the community, because we will need people in the near future to help support bringing this icon back. So I won't go through all of this. A lot of this I've already kind of touched on. So we're very much an entrepreneurial standpoint. So being a startup, yes, we have the Volkswagen backing and support for processes, but we're also creating our own. So if you're interested in an environment where you don't have to come in and just fit to the mold, here you can create new. You can create something really unique and bring your ideas to life. Some companies I've worked for in the past, if you have an idea, it's a great idea, but we have it working already. Here, a lot of this, we're starting from scratch. So we need the new ideas. We need, the support from people who haven't worked in the industry. So there's a lot of cool opportunities for those who really want to be hands-on. And again, I think it's an interesting place to work where, you can work in an international company, but still be an American-made company. It's kind of this unique dynamic, we're trying to bring back an American brand, an American company, but we have support internationally. Colleagues on my team are from Germany, South Africa, from India, from China, all over the US. So a very diverse group, which is also really cool environment to work in.
Can you expand on the top right segment where it says white space segment? And then also the line is market food in America. I'm just interested in what that means for like the company. I kind of see what it's saying.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So this is hitting on basically Volkswagen Group. If you look at Volkswagen cars and the product portfolio across all the brands, there is no SUV pickup rugged offering. You have different SUVs, yes, but none that can really be off-road vehicles. And this market in the US, the SUV market, where you have Tahoes, 4Runners, market segment and growing. But Volkswagen sees this as an area where they have no key players in the game. They have no product to offer here. So this was a way to not only bring an SUV and a truck into the portfolio, but they want it specific to the American, US, and Canada market. So it's a really unique opportunity that we have here to bring this American brand back into a segment that's growing. Because oftentimes you don't have that where you're launching a product, you might be constrained to a certain market segment that is already capped. Here, the US market, if you look every day, there's more and more SUVs and pickup trucks compared to sedans and sports cars. So it's a really unique opportunity, and that's what they're trying to hit on is how can we get our footprint in this market? Correct.
Thank
you. I would say they for sure will be a competitor, but the concepts of the vehicles are totally different in how the vehicle is being developed. So the actual vehicle itself that we're creating is more like what you would have with an American OEM, so a body on frame type style, versus Rivian, which is a complete different concept from a framing standpoint, from an offering standpoint. I think also when you see the vehicles, the focus, so our focus is not necessarily having, every bit of technology in the car, but having something that's practical and affordable, versus if you look at a Rivian or any other EV like that, there's a high price point, high amounts of technology in the vehicle, but I don't see where you're also going to take these vehicles off-road. So it's a bit different. I think it plays to different customers depending on their needs. If you want something, that's capable to go off-road, on-road, if you want something really, new and sleek from a technology standpoint, or if you want something in between, do you want knobs in your vehicle? Do you want buttons still? I think it really comes down to the customer's preference. Yep.
I have a question. You mentioned
Mhm.
So with that, how exactly is the batteries?
What do you mean? Like how is it?
It's like,
Mhm.
so say a customer has to go out for the safety package. Nice stuff. Say somebody like is driving off road and you pick up grab a water, send straight that battery.
So I'll be honest, I'm not an engineer. I'm not into the technical aspect on a day-to-day. I know our teams are looking into this, so to make it capable so that if you have a situation, that the battery is secure, safe, and stable. I can't say now what the plan is, just because I'm not in those discussions every day. But I do know that is a talking point within the company on how do we make it capable. So good. Then maybe one last point on why South Carolina. So I think everyone probably wonders why Columbia and why South Carolina. I think it's a very unique opportunity for the state. We have BMW, Volvo, Mercedes in the state already. So we have the knowledge in the state. We have the university structure. So it was a very, from a standpoint of how do we ramp up a plant, which is usually the biggest topic is hiring. You know, we're going to need 4,000 plus people working in this factory. Where do we go? And South Carolina, I think, has time and time again been seen as a very pro-business, pro-manufacturing state with the knowledge. So that's what brought Scout to the area. And then I'll hand it over to Caleb here.
Just a forewarning, there's gonna be a lot of around any questions, please feel free to do so. This is passionate, I'm very passionate, that I'm very thrilled about. So, within Shop Fluoride, we are responsible for planning, creating, and implementing all of the automotive production systems. So one of our systems that runs the entire show is called MES, or our manufacturing execution system. We have another one called our SCADA, which we can just kind of picture giant TV projector that shows different lines, different areas of the plant. There could be counters of where vehicles are. Let's say someone gets a piece up on a line, we can make that show color. Then we can run reports off of equipment. And then we also have our data analytics platform as well too. So walking through our production center, you can see that we have our body shop, assembly center, body shop, paint shop, our control center, and then our biggest area when people think of an automotive manufacturing plant, they see the workers who are putting seats in the car, putting the doors on. That's our assembly place. Typically, that has the most amount of employees. So that's an example of how we run the show in the shop floor IT. Let's say one of y'all places an order for a thing. We need that. We're going to get that data from our product. And I will just explain. Every single part has to be sequenced. We're responsible in our systems for sequencing these particular parts. Because we don't want to have one customer's order number somehow get mixed in and have the whole entire order get mixed up. We don't want a blue door to show up on a red car. All of that needs to be in sequence. So we will take that order, run it through body shop, and I'm going to use assembly as an example. Within the entire factory, there are sensors, there are equipment, controllers, computers, all that's gathering information about the chip. What part is being installed at what time? What are the torque values? Who put what component on at what time? All of that information gets tracked, and we put rules in the line that say you don't perform a particular job. Well, let's say we're installing seatbelts. We can't ship a vehicle without a seatbelt. So we're going to prevent that vehicle from moving until we are able to install that seatbelt, swap the tools at a bad part, swap the part, get it in. But again, all this information is tracked throughout the entire vehicle manufacturing process. So kind of then going to the next slide, if you don't mind, which then brings us to our vehicles. So we have our vehicles. We have the travel, which is SUV, and then the Cherokee, which is truck. But kind of now putting all the data back to a certain. Let's say for some unknown reason that there is an issue with your vehicle. Let's say sales or after sales is going to want to know where did this data come? Did you have a warranty issue? What was the root cause? That was what Jackson mentioned of all of the databases. We have to take that database. Our primary vehicle identity. That's going to be universal throughout all of them. Find that thing, and then we can do all sorts of things. We can run it in, and we can see everything about the vehicle, the different statuses that happen throughout the different again, we can put what component on at what time. Effects that might be everything. And something that is unique about Scout is coming from Chrysler, legacy automotive manufacturing, typically from the data analytics perspective, it's very reactive. You can get the data and try our best to predict what may or may not happen. However, upcoming topic in data analytics is AI and business analytics. And that is one of the new tools that we are currently exploring that we can push since we've already built up. That what are trends that already start to predict based on what we was expected in this trend line. So looking at how we can utilize the data lakes and other and all different tools from their Power BI dashboards and all different reports and gathering as many different requirements from these different channels. Now, granted, not all of it is going to change. However, again, tying also into the customer experience. Typically, in automotive manufacturer, if you're ordering a vehicle, your only update is from the dealership. We have a unique opportunity where if we're able to do this closed loop model, we can provide you real-time updates. So you're ordering your vehicle, oh, hey, your order was placed. They just went to the body shop. They just went to paint. Your vehicle is now assembled and now it's ready for. So it's a lot of, there's so much data that is there. We still have to clean everything that we do with it. So there's lots of ideas that are floating around within Scout of what do we want to do with it? What do stakeholders want to see? What do our customers want to see?
Perfect. So I think you've seen a little bit about Scout, the product, the plant. Probably most interesting now, I'll hand it over to Ashley for all of you.
Yeah, so kind of what we think about from the next part is our full-time jobs and our internships. So we started our first class of interns last summer. They did everything from vehicle testing, market research, integrations, to just optimizing the overall manufacturing process. They worked at our Columbia locations and then also our Novi locations. And then kind of taking a look into 2025 of what we're going to do. We're offering a wide variety of interns this year as well. Again, in Columbia and Novi. One thing to keep in mind, as Scout hasn't created a product yet, we aren't actually making any money. So we're very lucky to say that we are able to pay our interns. We don't offer relocation or housing assistance for our interns at this point. So if you live in Columbia, the Columbia location is probably going to be the best option for you. Now, I would expect that that's going to change a little bit once we start making a vehicle and having a profit. There will be more opportunities for our interns to travel a little bit more, and we'll be able to offer more on that side. We run late May to mid-August, and then that can kind of change depending on your specific schedule of what you have. We're offering anything from communications, engineering, production. As Jackson mentioned, IT kind of falls into all of those places. We wouldn't be able to run any of our departments without having our IT integrations within that too.
And I think to make that clear is I've worked at 2 different OEMs and you know, majors like this that you're pursuing are in every single department, even departments that you wouldn't think is related. There's someone in that department doing the role. So I just encourage that if you do see a position you're interested in, definitely apply. Because as much of it is dependent on the degree, it's also dependent on the person. So good. I think this is just some backup slides that we had. And then at the end is the link, our careers page, LinkedIn, our email. Also encourage you to take a booklet on your way out. So we have some information there for internships. And if you have friends or roommates that would be interested, take 2, take 3. So then I think time for questions if anyone has. Yeah.
Yeah, so I like what you were saying about the implemented in the whole process. If you guys possibly have, I know that you said this summer, but next semester, so after August this year, if you guys have to pull up in that space of data analytics.
We're working on it. So yes, I think the short answer is yes. With Scout, since we're creating a product, we have so much that we have to do still that we kind of get to a place where it's happening one thing at a time. So right now we know that we're able to offer the summer internships. With either the spring or the fall semesters next year, we'll start offering co-ops as well.
And we also have full-time positions. So I know many of you will be graduating soon. So some of those do require years of experience, but there is positions on there where 1-2 years or less is required. So there are full-time positions on there as well.
So they will be posted within the next week. I think half are posted right now, and by Monday, I think all of them will be posted. They're only gonna be open for 2 weeks, so you can go to our careers page directly, or you can find us on LinkedIn. But if you know you're interested in something, go ahead and apply quickly because they're only gonna be open for a couple of weeks.
And we've had colleagues going to the other university, other colleges within campus, so it's not just we're speaking to you all, there's other colleagues from Scout that are speaking to other groups, so I think to that point, be early always helps. Yep.
Or it's not AI, then it's wow.
So there's a lot that you can invest in. So one of the things that is about Scout is Scout, the backgrounds around are so diverse. And Scout is a lot of open collaboration. So it's like, oh, what about this thing? So a couple of tools that are used for like research is there's a lot of and then some of our that we're benchmarking, there's a lot of power here, but there's also limitations in it as well too. So for example, power BI, a certain refreshment, so they can bicycle about well, from a live assembly perspective, assembly wants that data now. So that's another tool that you have to look. From the AI side, that's that, you know, the counts that I mentioned, that helps us bridge that gap of the one. However, all of what we use AI for and what we couldn't use AI for, is still.
We're still very much in the early phase. So if you're interested in a workplace where things are still being discussed, analyzed, and input is needed from all the groups, that's where we really are. So again, to that point of if you have an idea, it's not just shut down immediately. It's investigated, it's looked at, analyzed, and then we evaluate what direction we go in.
So I, specifically with AI communication, I have a history in like networking and cybersecurity, but I would be very interested in doing like office to expand like my knowledge. So how willing are you guys to recruit people that don't necessarily have a background in the subject that they want to repeat in for, or they have the willingness to have ideas?
I would say 100%. I mean, when we think about interns and co-ops, we don't expect students to come in having previous internships or experiences. That's what the internship is for. So I think even if it's not your specific major, as long as it's something that you're interested in, so that's the whole point of an internship, is to see if you might be interested in doing this full time one day. 100% they would be a part of it.
And in my previous life where I worked before, I actually hired a couple students from this class, and many of which didn't know VBA in detail or Power Apps. And we had projects for them related to that. And when they left, they were, I would say, the Power App expert for the department, teaching them. They learned on the job basically, and then implemented the project by completing the task or the project at hand. So over the course of their co-op, they came in not knowing, they learned, they had their task, and then they left with a project that still runs, I'm assuming, to this day. So, yeah.
And that is a passion that you guys need to start to learn Power App. That he brought that up last time, and I talked to the department that sort of like what you were talking with the analytics software. So all the Power BI, all that. Well, it's sort of like Tableau. And it's just other competition. So we try to introduce that to you guys, but it's coming back.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I've worked at 2 OEMs, and one thing I've learned is the automotive industry relies on Excel. And anyone who can make things easier into systems, dashboards visually, you already have a leg up on all the other applicants in competition. It's funny enough, Excel really is like the key to a lot of stuff. It's just easy to work with, as bad as that sounds, but it's, when you have your day-to-day jobs and roles, people don't have time in their normal role to investigate, how do I implement AI? It just doesn't happen, so.
for calculating.
Yeah, it's a great tool. But always looking for something digital, so. Any other questions?